A question that one of my old teachers used to ask me whenever I had been upset was, "Where do you spend the majority of your time?" In response, I had asked, "I'm sorry, what do you mean exactly?" She replied, "Think," and then walked away. At first, I was extremely confused and didn't know how to respond. I spent the rest of that day pondering over the question. The next day, still feeling down, I walked into her class, and she asked again, "Have you found your answer?" I replied, "No, I'm even more confused than I was before." She laughed slightly and repeated the question, "Where do you spend the majority of your time?" then walked away to prepare for class. That night, I went home and thought deeply about her question. As my mind began to wander, I started thinking of all the negative events in my life. Suddenly, I stopped all my thoughts. I remembered the question and realized what she had been asking. Where do I spend the majority of my time? Well, think. I've been sitting in my room alone every night for the past few weeks, upset, thinking of all this negativity. Not once had I thought about anything positive. I had been spending the majority of my time in the past, remembering, reliving, and retelling myself all these awful instances. The next day, I walked into class much happier. The teacher stopped me and said, "You've answered the question, haven't you?" I looked back at her with a huge smile and replied, Yes, I have. I now understand what you meant." It was something as simple as one question that made me understand I was forcing myself to live in the past. Growing up, my life was never terrible. Yet, I was miserable because I never truly loved myself, and I spent so much time dwelling on the bad rather than focusing on the good. The past is over, it's gone, and there's nothing we can do about it. Why do we torture ourselves over what we can no longer change? I suffered for years with this. As we all go through different experiences, we often make them a reference point for the rest of our lives. When I lost my cousin in 2007, it was devastating, but over time, his father and I learned to focus on the good memories. My cousin had always been an inspiration, and that is how he will be remembered. One day, I decided to focus on nothing but the positive aspects of my life. I set out to carry on my cousin's legacy and to inspire and bring happiness and joy wherever I go. We have the power to determine how we view our past. Use that ability for the greater good of yourself and the world around you. Spread happiness, peace, and love, and the universe will give that back to you in return.